Hello class, welcome back. So in this whiteboard, it is all about the pathophysiology of rheumatoid arthritis. It is a fascinating area. I get a lot of questions asked by medical students. It is somewhat related. There's some crossover within my field in orthopedics and sports medicine. So I wanted to make a whiteboard and just write it all down. Again, my handwriting's terrible. You can do a much better job. That's the whole point of learning. You watch how someone does it and then you do it and you do it better. So get at it. So it's believed, I'm going to try to fit this all in, so I'm going to start way up here. We have some antigen that the body perceives as a problem, right? So that antigen gets presented, draw this like this here, an antigen presenting cell here. So the antigen comes along, the antigen presenting cell, or APC, presents it to a T cell, right? That T cell then gets activated. So we have an activated T cell. And what does an activated T cell do? Well, it churns out a lot of bad things, such as interferon, IL-1, IL-6, TNF-alpha, prostaglandins, proteases, and collagenase, and these are problems. What are these? These are all inflammatory cytokines, right? Prostaglandin, what is that? Well, it produces a lot of pain and inflammation and cell proliferation, right? And then what are protease and collagenase going to do? It's going to start degrading and digesting things and basically wreak havoc on the body, right? So they're no good. But we're not done yet. What else does an activated T cell do? Right? We continue this direction here. T cell, hang on, I have to change color there, is going to talk to a B cell, right? And then an activated T cell is going to activate the B cell. The B cell is going to produce rheumatoid factor. Now, what is rheumatoid factor, right? Rheumatoid factor is an autoantibody, which is an IgM, against the Fc portion of IgG. And that's going to be a problem since rheumatoid factor, coming down this direction, is going to get picked up and bound by complement. And when the body sees that, what's going to happen then? Well, we're going to keep on going here. Then we have macrophages, and we have neutrophils. They then crank up here, change color for these guys, and what are they going to do? Well, they're going to produce, here we go again, TNF-alpha, right? Neutrophils, what are they going to start dumping out? Protease, I should just draw it across there. There we go. Protease and collagenase, and they're just going to contribute to further inflammation and joint destruction. And what was I trying to draw here? We're going to start to create this thing called the pannus, right? And then that's going to start to erode cartilage and bone. But we are still not done since there's so much more, unfortunately. Pannus itself, once that gets activated, right, we're going to start to crank up synovial fibroblasts, sorry, sloppy, and chondrocytes. And guess what? Matrix metalloproteinase, IL-6, COX-2, and prostaglandins all continue to result in problems to the cartilage. What else happens? Well, in this direction here, another growth factor, vasculoendothelial growth factor, results in angiogenesis, and then we get a lot more vascular ingrowth to this pannus. And that's why it lights up on ultrasound in terms of increased vascular Doppler flow. And no, we're still not done yet. We have that T cell over here produces this neat little compound called rank L, and that stimulates really running out of room here, osteoclasts, that was sloppy, And then they destroy more bone. So we get cartilage destruction and bone destruction. So yeah, those T cells do more than one thing. B cells as well, they do more than one thing. A little bit hard to draw it here, but we'll add this in right over here. Anti-CCP, or ACPA. Right, so anti-CCP is an autoantibody against citrullonated peptide, or CCP. Now, CCP during inflammation in rheumatoid arthritis, these arginine amino acid residues get citrullinated, and if their shape gets significantly altered, they can be seen as antigens as well, which just further worsens this cycle. Now, how do we attack this, right? There's a ton of medications out there that try to stop this, or at least slow it down. So we'll put these in here. So the non-specific stuff, right, we have NSAIDs, and when it's bad, we have corticosteroids. Right? Those act by trying to stop prostaglandins, way down here, COX-2, and just help to lessen the damage. And that was about all we had for a while. But then came along some other medications. So methotrexate, which we'll put right over here, we're running out of room here, seems to help prevent the B cell from getting activated on both ends of the equation here. So that's a help. Luflunomide, there we go, inhibits dihydrorotate dehydrogenase, which inhibits pyrimidine synthesis and inhibits T cell proliferation. And then we start getting the bigger guns here. We have the biologicals, which are going to be TNF alpha inhibitors. And there's a whole bunch of them out there. Things like Remicade, Enbrel, Humira, Simponi. There's a whole bunch of them out there. Those are the first-line ones. There are some biosimilars out there, infliximab, etanercept, and things like that. And that was a major help. And then we started to get the second-line ones, and that, things like Orencia. And that acts way over here. That is a T-cell activation blocker. And then we also have Actemra, which is an IL-6 blocker. And then we finally have the third line biologicals here, the more recent ones, and that's Xeljanz, and those are going to be the JAK, J-A-K, Janus-associated kinases. Those are called small molecules, kind of a very unassuming name for something that does some incredible stuff. And those inhibit or slow down interferon and IL-6. So really busy slide, but was able to fit it all in one, and that's what we got.